Well, you care because if you get in an accident and somebody owes you money, like an insurance company, you got to call the Dense Beard of Justice, or you're going to get screwed. At 800-881-2021, it's time for Justice with Sweet James.
Order in the court. Order in the court. It's time for Justice with Sweet James.
What's cracking, Sweet James? How are you?
Man, I love you guys. How are you?
Oh, we're doing pretty good. Now,
welcome back, huh?
Yeah, you were
Yeah,
gone.
I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, it's a tough deal. I mean, you were in Europe. Tell us what was going on in Europe and when you got back.
Well, when I called you guys, I think it was like 3:30 in the morning last week. I just got kicked out of a bar with the Caveller Talk boys.
Yeah, you said you were a little tossed, and, I didn't even notice. Did you notice Sweet James was faded the other day?
That's good.
He can handle his liquor.
Were we at Philippe's?
We were at Philippe's. That's right.
You know what? There you go. That's why we didn't notice.
We were tossed together.
Yeah, more than 3 sheets to the wind on that day there, Sweet James. So what happened when you were out there?
I had a blast. As you know, I went out there. I picked up that. You get that picture, Matt?
I did. That's the one I was just talking about. I showed it to Petros, that fancy Porsche you went out there to pick up.
This is how stupid I am. I thought it was Matt's Miata. I was like, wow, Matt's garage looks pretty nice.
Right?
Yeah.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, hey, that's a sweet car, but damn, is that a nice garage?
I really honestly thought it was your Miata. And then,
that's the Porsche.
Then when you finally said, oh, that's Sweet James' car, I was like, oh, yeah, I knew that.
Yep.
Yeah, I can tell the difference between a Porsche and a Miata. That's me, the OP.
Now, how do you get a car back to the States so fast, or did you snap that photo while you were over in Europe?
That pic is from Germany. So
Okay.
I turned the car back over to Porsche. They're going to ship it back over the next 8 weeks or so.
How about that?
Our race will be delayed for a little while, man.
How convenient, James.
Yeah.
How convenient.
I'm going to buy you guys scarves, white scarves
Done.
and gloves for
Done.
Christmas. And,
Fingerless gloves, white scarves, and driving moccasins.
I want to see the race. I want to see the race. But you know what? I'm not going to give you a ride to the hospital after the race. Sweet James Bergener, a lot of talk about fantasy foosball. What are the chances that some guy in California all of a sudden says, hey, L.A., forget your fantasy football here, too? I mean, what's going on with fantasy football? Are we no longer going to have these FanDuel and DraftKings to give us money to do commercials for them?
You know what? I don't think so. Right now, in New York City, as you know, the Attorney General filed an injunction to stop it in New York, and a judge allowed it to go through FanDuel and the other...
DraftKings. Kings of the draft.
That's right. They lost their appeal to stop the injunction. So there'll be discovery phase, and we're going to go forward. But there's a federal law, 2006, which allows a fantasy or a sports game not to be covered under this gambling statute. So I think they're going to prevail on this. It's just going to take some time. And
you think the daily fantasy will continue? It seemed like this guy, and you tell me in your experience, James. I always thought that the attorney generals, not the district attorneys, but the attorney generals were pretty buttoned up. This guy seemed like, I don't know, kind of like a boob in his press conference. Yeah. That's typically not the case, right?
It's typically not the case, but I mean, it's just like it's
like the Duke lacrosse guy, like that big of a boob, like Hurlburt, like that bad,
like that guy. Those are district attorneys, right? You get to the attorney general level though, and usually they're pretty buttoned up.
Yeah, they usually have a good head on their shoulders at that time, but it's New York.
Oh.
What can I say?
Shot at the East Coast. So, because this reminds us of the daily poker. We used to endorse the full tilt poker. Make a bunch of scratch, and then all of a sudden they're like, hey, all that endorsement money you were getting for full tilt is gone. It's been declared illegal
now.
It's gambling now. It's not. I mean, to me, it seems like poker's a game of skill, not really a game of chance. Same with fantasy football.
I don't know,
right?
man. I was pretty faded one night at a tournament, made it all the way to the table, and you know me, Matt. I don't even know how Texas Hold'em is played.
I stand corrected.
I made it all the way to the final table with a $100 bill licked and stuck to my forehead, smoking menthols with Deacon Jones. I'm pretty sure game of skill, no.
Yeah, clearly I'm in an untenable position, and I relinquish that statement. I immediately vacate that position. But so you do think that they come out ahead here, daily fantasy?
I do, Matt. Now, you make a great point there that, poker can be considered a game of skill. But the strength of FanDuel and DraftKings is going to be in the language of the Unlawful Internet Gambling Enforcement Act of 2006, where there is a provision carved out for where there are contests and games that you can bet on determined by predominantly accumulated statistical results of performance of individuals in multiple real-world sporting or other events. So there is a provision specifically for fantasy football. That's exactly what that is for. So the statute, because it's carved out as such, I think that's why DraftKings and FanDuel will prevail. and defeat this injunction.
Now, the one thing, let's just say they don't, James, because this happened with, like I said, the poker sites and people that still had money in their accounts. They got screwed. Right. They lost that money. Is there anything you can do if you've got a DraftKings or a FanDuel account and they go bust and the Attorney General in California shuts them down? I mean, is there any way to get your money back, or you saying bye-bye to that?
No, how much you have in there, it's going to be the thing. If you've got more than a couple $100, it's going to be worth it for you to file a small claims. I mean, there's unjust enrichment, handing somebody money, and not getting anything from it. You have a claim on your money back.
All right.
The great Sweet James Bergener, the dense beard of justice, breaking it down with the Petros and Money Show. Give him a call if you need legal advice. It's free until you settle. And he's accrued over $200 million in settlements for his clients. That's why he can buy that Porsche overseas and have it shipped. Sweet James Bergener, 800-881-2021 is the number. Now, Sweet James, what is going on here with Donald Sterling? I mean, we knew once Donald Sterling got barnacled out of owning the Clippers that he was not going to be done suing people. So if, let's say he won his appeal, the appeals court upheld the $2 billion sale of the Clippers is the headline.
Yes.
But let's say they didn't uphold it. Did that mean they would have taken the team back from Ballmer and given it back to Sterling like today?
No, there probably would have been a equitable remedy, so he'd get money. It just comes down to money.
So the Clippers are done. This was just about Donald Sterling getting money, and he's not going to get the money?
No, he's going to get the money.
Yeah, he already got all the money, right?
They've got the money, and so he's got other issues, man. You know, he just pops every once in a while like a case of herpes on the NBA, man. He just shows up every so often.
That's one way to describe it, I guess. So in this case, as Petros said, Ballmer keeps the team. I guess who else got the money, though? He got the $2 billion. Yeah. I don't think he had minority investors. It was just he and Shelley, right? So what is he suing? Who is he suing? Is he suing... That's what we were confused by. We don't know what he's suing for.
He wants the team back.
Okay.
And and of course the
so they threw that out.
No, you're done.
They said that,
and they wouldn't give it back at this point anyway. Right. The lower courts were correct in allowing that, and he's been determined. 2 doctors have said this guy's got Alzheimer's. He can't make these decisions. He's been removed at the head of all of his trust funds and everything. So he's it's fun.
Well, on that bright note.
I do have one more.
Oh,
James,
did it.
Just someone of your stature and standing in the community. When and how long does it take you to decide that you're going to hop a plane to Germany to buy a car? Like, is that something you tussle with inside, or the second you know it's available, you immediately book a ticket and you go?
Are you comparing your thought process in buying the Miata to his and going to Germany?
Mine was like a 3-month process of deciding whether or not I was really going to do this.
Matt
took me
had
like
a chart
3 months.
The beautiful mind guy in his backyard. That's Matt's chart on whether or not he should buy the Miata.
All right.
Now, so what? How did this happen?
Well, this particular car is very special, very rare. I was given the opportunity in the springtime.
Okay, all right.
So I kitted it out, I built it, and then checked that little European delivery box. So I knew this was going to happen in advance. I didn't know the actual delivery date until about a month ago, and so about a month to go over.
Just didn't want to hear like, hey, whenever I go out to dinner with James, I bring my passport, because you never know.
Right?
Well, that could happen, because the last time I went to Norway I think it was 2 days beforehand. I was like, what? The band's going to play in Bergen, Norway? My name is Bergener. I got to go there. And I was in the air 30 hours. I was on the ground 36 hours.
Oh,
and
that does not sound
just
good.
a quick turn. It was awesome, though. It was so worth it.
Well, there you go. A man who lives the lifestyle of an international playboy.
Jet set.
Bring your passport, Matt.
Sweet James Bergener.
We'll go racing. And
like I said, after the race, I'll give you the directions to the hospital, but I won't give you that. Sweet James Bergener. We'll be right back on PMS.